The islands are waking. Karui drums in the distance, black fissures splitting the sand, and somewhere beyond the surf a whisper about a weapon that could change everything. Path of Exile 2 is about to drop its biggest update yet, the Third Edict, version 0.3, and for one weekend, you can dive into the whole thing for free. No key, no spend, just download and play while the window is open. That's our moment. Here's what's actually going on, what's in the patch, why the mood flipped from Dawn of the Hunt blues to wait, this might be it, and why you should play the free weekend even if you bounced off 0.2. There's a lot to talk about. Quick favor before we go deeper. If this helps you get ready for the weekend, drop a like, tell me in the comments what build you're starting with, and hit subscribe so I know to make a simple day one route for you. It takes a second, and it really helps. Thank you, and now, let's get this video started. First, the basics. The Third Edict lands on Friday, August 29th, and Grinding Gear is pairing the launch with a free weekend that runs until Monday, September 1st. In US time zones, the window is Friday, August 29th at 1 p.m. Pacific PDT, 2 p.m. Mountain MDT, 3 p.m. Central CDT, 4 p.m. Eastern EDT, and it ends on Monday, September 1st at those same local times. You'll be able to jump in on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, or PC without owning a supporter pack, then keep playing the entire early access slice for 3 days. If you don't have an early access key, there's no pre-download. The client simply opens for you when the window begins. Clear your schedule, decide what you want to test, and get ready to sprint. Here's the headline content. Act 4 arrives, and it's non-linear. You set sail from King's March and fan out across Ngamakanui, the Karui archipelago, choosing which of the 8 islands to tackle and in what order. That structure instantly makes the campaign feel fresher. It's not just set dressing either. Act 4 brings a huge helping of new enemies, areas, and bosses, and it pushes the story toward the Third Edict weapon you're chasing. The vibe is choose your adventure, not follow the corridor, which is exactly what a long ARPG campaign needs to stay lively on a second or third character. The next change quietly fixes a long-running friction point. Cruel difficulty is gone. Instead, you'll progress through 3 interludes, short, self-contained arcs designed to bridge you straight into endgame. They're built to carry you to around level 65 without making you replay the whole campaign, and they come with new areas and bosses of their own. It sounds small, but it's massive in practice. Less repetition, a smoother power curve, and a clear runway from story into mapping. If you're a new player, it feels like common sense. If you're a veteran, it feels like someone finally listened. The other banner feature is Path of Exile 2's first full league, Rise of the Abyssals. While you're leveling or mapping, fissures crack open and spew empowered undead that have been siphoning life from everything nearby. Clear them, and you'll pop abyssal troves. Sometimes you'll dive down into the abyssal depths to fight commanders or uncover an ancient spire. The real twist is the Well of Souls, a crafting layer where you spend ancient bones to apply hidden abyssal modifiers to items. Early on, it's an easy source of power spikes. Later, it unlocks outcomes that simply didn't exist before. The League launches with separate, standard, hardcore, and SSF versions, a fresh economy, and even a free passive tree refund so everyone can start clean and experiment. Support gems have been blown wide open. One of the tight early constraints, the one of each type support limit, is gone. If doubling up is the right move for a setup, you can do it. On top of that, supports now have multiple tiers you can upgrade through the campaign. 11 brand new supports join the pool, and the endgame adds a new class of chase items. Dozens of lineage supports that drop from specific bosses and reshape how skills scale at the top. This is the identity piece of Path of Exile coming back in force. The game is always at its best when players can invent strange, clever interactions and 0.3 hands the chemistry set back to you. Expect a wave of creativity and at least a few "how did that get through" testing moments, because discovering those outliers is half the fun. Movement and pace get love too in the simplest, most practical way possible: sprinting. Hold your dodge roll, and once the roll finishes, your character sprints without a timer. It's meant for moving between fights so the dead time shrinks. There's a catch. If you get hit while sprinting, you'll wipe out on the floor, so you can't brainlessly zoom through danger. Over a full campaign, this is huge. Less jogging in empty corridors, more action, better flow, and a faster first character each league. Trading is the feature that will convert the fence sitters. Asynchronous trade is in. You'll unlock a new hideout merchant named Ange and use merchant tabs to list items at a price, log off, and still make sales. No more babysitting whispered trades for every transaction. No more, are you online, ping pong at weird hours. You set the price, keep mapping, and your items move in the background. For a lot of us, this removes the worst social tax of PoE's economy and opens up trading to players who never had the patience for constant haggling. If you like the market game but hate standing still, this alone justifies giving the weekend a shot. Crafting and itemization get a deep round of new tools and polish. Essences are now tiered: lesser, normal, greater, and perfect. And instead of just adding a tag-based mod, they apply specific guaranteed modifiers based on the item type and essence tier. That turns essences into a more deterministic path for early and mid-game gear, and 7 new essences widen the menu. The currency lineup expands with greater and perfect versions of the classics: transmutation, augmentation, chaos, regal, exalted, each with minimum modifier levels baked in, so you're not rolling trash on high-tier bases. Hinakora's lock joins as a clever currency that lets you foresee the outcome of your next currency use on an item. Once you modify the item, the vision is gone. That single peek turns random gambling into planned risk. Add a stack of new omens, more than 10 uniques, over 50 new base types, and suddenly the loot treadmill looks less like a treadmill and more like a toolbox. Endgame structure gets a quality of life overhaul with real agency over difficulty. Most Pinnacle content now drops splinters rather than a single all-or-nothing entry item. You feed those splinters into the Realm Gate and pick a tier, each with its own entry cost and reward profile. That means you can run at the level where your build actually prints progress, then invest in higher tiers when you're ready. The Arbiter of Ash fight moves to a fixed difficulty with rewards raised to what used to be max, and there's a new Uber Arbiter gated by Calamity Fragments that drop from Citadel bosses if you fully juiced your Boss Atlas passives. Waystones are reworked with paired upsides and downsides, and Atlas passives see broad tuning to match. The message is clear: fewer bricked keys, more control, and a cleaner risk-reward ladder. Under the hood, the balance pass is wide and player-friendly. Late-level spell scaling gets buffed, so casters don't feel like they fall off a cliff. Melee gets new tools through war cries and defensive layering. The skill roster expands with things like Fortifying Cry, Forge Hammer, and Ancestral Cry for bruisers, Toxic Domain, Ice-Tipped Arrows, and Frost Darts for damage over time and projectile players. There are new persistent buffs such as Mirage Archer, Iron Ward, Ravenous Swarm, Mortar Cannon, and Siphon elements that push identity even before you reach endgame chases. On the Keystone side, toys like Hollow Palm Technique, Ritual Cadence, Black Flame Covenant, and Walker of the Wilds open quirky routes that used to require clunky gear sets. It reads like a patch aimed at fun first, trusting the meta to sort itself out once players have real options again. So why play the free weekend? 3 simple reasons. 1. It's the cleanest way to feel the new campaign flow and pace. Act 4's island hopping breaks up repetition. The interludes remove the do-it-again wall, sprinting trims downtime, and a pile of small UI and quality-of-life tweaks makes the ride smoother. If you found Point 2 sluggish or punishing, this is the easiest way to take the temperature again. 2. The build sandbox just opened up. The support system changes alone make an immediate difference in how every skill feels to assemble, and lineage supports give you an endgame chase that's about creativity, not just raw stats. 3. The economy friction is lower than ever. With async trade, you can play more and wait less, which makes starting fresh much more appealing if you only have a weekend to mess around. If you want a route for your first few hours, go fresh in the new league to ride the passive tree refund and the brand new economy. Push story without overlooting. Learn sprint timing so you chain fights without face planting. The moment you unlock the Well of Souls, start slotting abyssal modifiers for cheap, reliable power spikes. Treat essences as your safety net to plug resist holes and hit minimum damage thresholds. Because essences are tiered and deterministic now, you can craft predictably while you're still learning the new supports. As soon as Ange is available, invite her to your hideout and treat merchant tabs like passive income, leveling uniques, solid resist rings, a lineage support you're not using. Price it and forget it while you play. When you reach maps, use the splinter system to pick fight tiers that match your current ceiling. Bank fragments for Uber Arbiter later rather than smashing your head against a wall on day one. The weekend is also a discovery race. For 3 days, everyone will be collectively figuring out which multi-support pairings go crazy, which lineage drops shift archetypes, and how the new currency tiers in Hinakora's lock change the crafting economy. If you like being early, sniffing out interactions before they're codified, this is your playground. Worst case, you try a setup that doesn't sing. Best case, you stumble into something delightfully broken before the inevitable round of tuning. Either way, it's fun to be in the room when the meta is born. A couple of reality checks so you don't get caught. There's no pre-download unless you already own early access. The client unlocks when the window begins, and the free weekend includes everything currently in early access, including the new Third Edict content. So there isn't a trial wall waiting at level 20. Again, for US timings, it's August 29th at 1 p.m. PDT, 2 p.m. MD, 3 p.m. CDT, 4 p.m. EDT, ending Monday, September 1st at the same local times. Set an alarm, grab a friend, and pick a league start time that avoids the first-hour login stampede. So what does all this mean? It looks like the patch where PoE2 fully asserts its identity, a campaign that respects your time, a league that ties into crafting in a tangible way, a support system that reopens the design space, a trade model that lets you participate without being on call, an endgame that finally says pick your difficulty instead of sell the key if you can't do max. After a rough reception to 0.2, 0.3 reads like a course correction that puts power and agency back in your hands. The two things to watch are performance and power creep. If multi-support setups explode the balance curve, expect quick hotfixes, and if offline trading changes pricing behavior, the early economy might stabilize faster than usual. That's fine. Live games breathe. The important part is that the foundation looks and feels better. If this breakdown helps, do the little YouTube things, like and subscribe, because it genuinely pushes the video to more players and tells me to make a beginner-friendly weekend route. Act 4 Island Order, early Well of Souls crafts, first map choices, and a painless merchant setup that prints gold while you play. I'll pin any hotfix notes or stealth changes once the servers go live. But that's the pitch in plain language. Wide open supports, sprinting to the next fight, and that's a real league start feeling and the freedom to sell while you sleep. Third Edict is the shot of adrenaline PoE2 needed, and the free weekend is your ticket to test it with zero risk. I'll see you on the shore of Ngamakanui.